Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to our very first BPRS-LA, Beepers University webinar. Thank you for joining us and having this timely conversation with this organization that is the pinnacle of communications and public relations for the Los Angeles market. So I want to go ahead and let everyone get started with their self-introductions. Let everyone know where you are, your name, and who you work for. Okay, good. Go ahead, Ms. Holly.
I'll start. Hi, Holly Baird. I'm in North Hollywood today, and I am currently the president of Garagos Global Communications, and I specialize in crisis communications.
Ladies first.
I am Marissa Wallace. I am a supervisor at MWWPR, a mid-sized firm based in our Hollywood office. We have about 10 offices across the US, one in London. I specialize in traditional media relations, integrated marketing strategy with a specialty in multicultural engagement.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Ty Washington. I'm the managing partner of Wave Tech Media. It's an all-encompassing multimedia firm specializing in photography, graphic design, social media consulting, and web implementation. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tonya McKenzie, founder and PR consultant for Sand and Shores PR firm. I work with civic organizations, law enforcement, nonprofits, and government organizations. All right, well, let's get started and let everyone know. We'll go around again, Holly, and start with you, how you have had to swiftly pivot and kind of be innovative in how you deal with your clientele in this time of the coronavirus. Have you been able to kind of continue to manage your workload and be a very good communicator with your clientele and your boss?
Yeah, so in my industry, we're always, for the most part, prepared for a crisis, and business hasn't stopped. The only thing I see that has shifted, and I've had to pivot, is taking meetings that normally would be in person and or via phone to some sort of digital platform. And whereas phone calls have always been, a standard way to conduct business, I find in this time we need to continue to connect with our clients. And so being able to see somebody and look into their face, I think is really valuable right now, and continue that engagement with your clients. So for me, being dressed up instead of taking a phone call, I have to, put my face together and do Zoom meetings.
And for you guys out there that are listening, if you have any questions for us, please enter them into the chat area. We're going to be getting to all of your questions, and we want to make sure that we can address your concerns in this situation or any that might come up in your PR and comms situation currently and maybe in the future. So anything that we can do, BPRS-LA, to help you out, please let us know. Marissa?
Yeah, I would say for me, what's been really helpful is being proactive in the situation as far as client management, client relationship, client work goes. Everything is changing and evolving at like light speed, and we just have to be on top of the latest updates, making sure that we know what changes are happening from like a medical front and from a government relations front too, so that we are on top of it, especially in key markets for our clients. And sometimes, depending on what side, I work on with a lot of consumer brands. I'm sort of like a generalist across categories. So I am seeing how this situation has had a positive effect on some clients, to be quite honest, and also how this has been extremely difficult to navigate for others. And so for those on the sort of like short end of the stick. It's like, what can we do as your agency partner to come to you with sort of like proactive communications or strategies or pivots in your strategy that maybe you're not even thinking of. One, internally to how you're talking and communicating to your employees, which should be the same way that you're talking, communicating to everyone else, your consumer base, honestly, because right now everyone has the same fears. And everyone just needs to know the facts, and transparency, I think, has been super helpful in our kind of counsel to our clients. So being proactive, being transparent, and just staying on top of the latest updates and being a really good partner to our clients, not worrying about, this isn't in your scope. Right now, there's a lot of things happening. So we have to kind of like be flexible and really be here for everyone so that we all make it through the other side.
Tell us a little bit about the positive, though. You said there are some positive things coming out. So explain to them kind of what you mean about the positives and how can they implement more positive interaction or positives coming out of their situation.
And positive, I don't want to say, I'll take the word positive back. I don't think this is a positive situation. But what we are seeing with certain clients, right? Like say for instance, Charmin was my client. Like they're being sold out of stores. Like, you know what I mean? You can't find toilet paper anywhere. And so that's a positive thing. I'm seeing that revenue, like my business is growing. I'm not going to advise my client if it were Charmin to talk about that on social media, right? But for right now, like if you're on the upside where like people are buying wine, for instance, because they're staying home, or they're buying like games and activities to do at home, like you're seeing your sales aren't being hit. They're actually seeing a boom. So you're kind of sitting tight and seeing what else you can do to help other people who are in need. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who are those other people that may be affected if it might make sense? Like, say you're a wine or spirits brand, and you're seeing like restaurants are closing down, like waiters are losing their jobs, bartending staffs losing their jobs. Like, is there a fund that you can create, with this surplus of money that you're making now to help those who support you normally day in, day out, working in these restaurants and bars, to help them get through this time? So if you are seeing a surplus in kind of like revenue, what can you do as a good corporate, socially responsible company to do your part in all of this? So that's what I mean by some people are seeing some positive like upswing during this time.
Being strategic in how you position your brand or your client's brand, really being more thought-provoking in how you can reposition them to think about how they're putting themselves out there. Yes?
Yes, exactly. Being very cognizant, being very strategic, being very aware of the things that you're saying, the things that you're posting on social, on your digital platforms right now, I think has been all a part of our strategy.
Absolutely. And Ty, what about you? I know content creation has a lot to do with what you have going on. So how are you able to pivot? What are you doing strategically to stay aligned with your clients?
Honestly, it is difficult. It is a little bit of a challenge. It's actually interesting because we did get a question, if I'm not mistaken, in regards from Jennifer, who asked, how can I make sure my clients remain relevant during this crisis? I would say it's essentially doing the same things that you should have been doing anyways, which is posting relevant content and timely content, information and things that are that people need to hear, that they want to be reassured, regardless of whatever your client may be. You have to be able to find certain pieces of content that are obviously relevant to what's going on right now, but also something that people actually want to hear and are going to genuinely benefit them in some kind of way. So it's just being timely with that type of content and helping them staying relevant in that regard, is also making sure that they're consistently posting and consistently creating content in spite of the pandemic that we're in right now.
Very good. Yeah, for me, there's a lot of activity and events. So trying to stay on top of the information, be honest and clear about possibilities and opportunities to maybe do things in a different way. So instead of canceling it, can it be a telesummit? Can, instead of, looking at the most pessimistic view, how can continuing to move forward with this still empower your members, empower your community, empower the individuals that are following along with this organization? Because once it's said and done, you don't want everything to be at a dead stop. Then you have to restart. So it makes sense to continue to have conversations, continue to stay in touch with members, members of the community, the organization that are looking for you to be a voice. Because if it just goes dead silence, then once everything is over, you have to restart those conversations, restart that engagement. So just being very clear and honest about possibilities, right? Sometimes they say, well, don't give them the most negative piece of information. No, you need all of the pieces of information to be able to make a very informed decision on how you move forward. So I just think for us, it's been very beneficial to have all of the information, stay on top of it, and communicate that as you get it so that you can make informed decisions. But so if there's any other questions out there you guys specifically have, please go ahead and enter them into the chat. We want to make sure that we are able to get to your questions and get to your concerns so that you're better able to go into your next week and the week after that more informed and feeling more confident about what it is that you're doing or how you're going to move forward in your own business. So let's look at crisis PR in general. And Holly, we're going to start with you because we know that you are an expert in the field. But even if it's not coronavirus, talk to us a little bit more about how you stay prepared or how you move forward once some type of upheaval takes place in your business or with a client that you weren't expecting or with the company, because it happens often and it leaves people a little frazzled. So go ahead and give them as much as your gems as possible to move them forward.
Thank you. So I believe with crisis PR, we plan for everything. And usually when you have a client come in, they'll come in with an initial issue. But I think our duty is as crisis professionals is to map out all potential scenarios. And so once you have the scenarios, you can then break them down and figure out how you're going to weave your way out of the scenario. So I try to stay as prepared as possible so we're never caught off guard and we pretty much expect the worst to happen and then we're prepared and can just move forward and pivot and shift if needed. Using your resources, making sure you have your resources, making sure those resources are in place for your clients and for your staff are really important, not just in traditional crisis situations, but I think right now, and we're facing with this pandemic, you have to be prepared and be able to, at a moment's notice, reach out to, say it's Cision, say you need to reach out to PR Newswire, say you need to have Zoom or Skype or whatever platform you're going to be using, have your resources, have your reps, ready to engage with you in the event of a crisis. Something might go wrong, and you need to be able to have seamless engagement with your clients throughout this process, because a lot of times they're worried, their staff is worried, and the pressure that is placed upon a company or a CEO or individual, during, any sort of situation, not just, the coronavirus, it'll make them feel a sense of ease knowing that you're there to hold hands and navigate throughout the crisis.
Very good. Marissa?
Yeah, so I think everything, I am not a crisis expert like Holly is, but I think as PR professionals, we all have sort of like a starting base of how to manage crisis. Here at MWW, we have a full crisis and issues management team of experts who really do this work day in and day out. But I think mostly the basics would be, just to Holly's point, staying prepared. I think, up front, you need to have sort of like your go-to infrastructure of people or sort of like your red team, right? If something goes wrong, like you already know this is your go-to point person that's going to lead this internally. Even if nothing wrong is happening at that moment, you just have to be internally set up. So that's what we mean by be prepared. Make sure your team is staffed accordingly, and or you know who to go to if that's in-house or if that's someone that you're working with, who you're outsourcing at another agency. Just know that you have them on speed dial or on email. Reach out to those people. Be completely transparent. There's no need to sugarcoat anything, cover anything up. When you're dealing with a crisis, you have to really look at all of the facts. Even if you have done something wrong, if your client has done something or made a misstep, we need to know everything, so that we can best turn it around or solve for it as we need to and give you the right counsel. You need to know who your key audiences are and stakeholders are, so that you're communicating with all of them as you should. And then I think just be consistent, be proactive, and over communicating, especially during times of crisis. Over communicate. Like, I can't say that enough. Like, it might seem annoying, but during these times, like, people really need to hear from you. They need to hear from you often. So those are sort of like my basics as far as general crises go.
Ty?
Yeah, I mean, Marissa, yeah, just pretty much covered it. You need to be transparent. You need to be honest. You need to, and you also need to be just reassuring. People want to know that their brands, that whatever it is, that they're there for them in times of a crisis. I think at least for me, I've been noticing how different advertisements have been taking place within the auto industry, for instance. People, obviously, there's in a lot of major metropolitan cities, Los Angeles, New York, there are new orders from our leaders in government, whether on the state or on the local, state, or on the federal level, to stay at home. And you see a kind of a shift in auto industry with Toyota, with Nissan, with Ford, Chevy, how their messaging has kind of shifted in regards to, okay, we obviously know people aren't necessarily driving around, so what can we do in regards to trying to help people reassure? A, we know you probably have a payment that's due for your vehicle. B, we also know that you're home and that you're not necessarily using your vehicle. So I've noticed the shift in that. So, but more of a reassuring shift in that communication, not necessarily to try to sell you a car, right? But that we understand that you're going through a crisis, you're going through a situation, and we're understanding of that. And I think that's very important to do, to have that type of reassuring tone in that. So I just found that interesting, that those type of commercials have already taken place, and it's a pivot that's happened very quickly, right? For them to come together, whoever they are, whatever their respective advertisement agency or public relations firm, to come together and create that kind of advertisement so quickly and to distribute it so quickly as well. I think that's also a testament to where we are, obviously, in digital communications anyways. But I just think it's very interesting from a week ago, hey, buy my new car, it's this, to we understand what you're going through and we're here to help in any way we can in regards to your billing, in regards to payments, in regards to just being there for you. I just find that interesting as a shift. So that's really my take on that.
I think it's important to add to that we are also the professional in the situation, and sometimes we need to remind them of that, right? So being less emotional about the situation and being factual, being on top of what's important to us. And sometimes when people get emotional, they want to take charge, but you have to remind them who is the professional in this situation, because when those decisions need to be made, who's going to be held accountable, right? So always reminding them why they hired you in the first place, why you are the professional in the situation and you are the expert in this field, for them to trust you to help make those decisions that need to be made and communicate correctly to those members, asset holders and such, that will make sure that after the crisis is over, things can still move forward in a positive fashion. You are the expert in this field. Remove the emotions from it and allow them to see why you were hired and trust you with some of those messaging and decisions that are encompassed in communications and PR. We did get a comment, as some industries slow down with hiring, what tips would you give to young professionals who are leaving college and entering into the workforce? Holly?
That's a great question. And it's easy for me and some of us to say, don't worry, and just to hold steady. But that's not the reality that we're facing. And so I think right now for PR professionals, it's a time to be creative. If you know that you're a great writer, offer writing services. I know a lot of the younger generation, you guys tend to go towards digital engagement when you're, looking for jobs. And either way, those jobs tend to be remote. And so I think if you can find a niche in which you're really good at and companies are looking for, you can survive this. Companies are going to be craving content. Media companies are craving content. So if you're able to package things up, if you have the skills to do and edit videos, that's an invaluable skill. So look for skills that you have that you can then look for jobs where that would be a perfect fit throughout this. I think, a lot of the larger companies for public relations are looking at their staff, looking to see if they need to, trim some fat and lean out. And this will pass because as the economy dips, it's going to have to go back up. And so I think if you're able to just save money, be really smart with your spending, and just be really smart with the decisions that you choose when you're taking jobs, you'll be okay.
Marissa?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with what Holly just said. And I do want to reassure everyone. I know this is a very scary time and no one quite knows when things will shift and get back to normal. But I think we all can say, like, it will get back to normal eventually, and we will survive. I think, one, just know that as a young professional. Two, to Holly's point, really look at your skill set and really look at how you can diversify your skill set right now at this time. The more you are sort of like a generalist and sort of a like jack of all trades, the harder it is for an employer to let you go, right? If they're looking at consolidating staff during times of crisis, and you're someone who does, traditional media relations, you do know content creation, you do know influencer, social, if you know paid media buying, like, I'm going to consolidate some of this stuff into you because you have everything that I need. I'm not going to let you go, right? Versus someone who may just be skilled at one particular niche that isn't maybe a priority at that time. So really look at how you can expand your skill set. There's a lot of, in your downtime right now, there's some free digital courses that you can take online to expand what you do know, and also test some of that out on your own social channels, right? Like create really interesting content and engagement. Create fun Q&A franchises for yourself and post that on your social channels, because when the time does come for people to hire again, and it will come, right? Because marketing and advertising, like, that won't go away. Like, companies will need that forever. Just make sure that you have prepared yourself to the best of your ability during this downtime.
Very good. So Dwight says, the importance of your network is key. I highly believe that. But he also asked, let's talk about the importance of treating people like humans right now. Everyone is freaking out. It's our job to keep things positive and optimistic. And along with what I said, we have to be positive and optimistic, but also using data and truth and creative thinking and pivoting and redirecting maybe some of the things that we're doing or the way that they're thinking into how we can improve maybe the process or some of the things that we're doing. So yes, being able to, one, treat people like they are still humans, even in this trying time. Even if you're struggling with your own stuff, it's still important that we do that. Holly?
Yeah, I think we have to move forward with a sense of purpose. And a good way to help start getting the creative juices flowing is most companies have a mission statement. And when you look at these mission statements, the core of them are, especially for consumer brands, what the company as a whole wants to do for the consumer. So I think you have a good foundation with that. Let's lead with purpose, and let's regain what the mission statement was actually written for and who it was written for, and use that as a way to help kind of guide us, when we're helping our clients and reminding them why they started their company, and that if we just hold steady, we will get through this together.
Ty?
Yeah, I think obviously the most important thing is, I think you just can't be treated as a number at this point. I think that I think this is a situation that really is going to be bringing people together to a level that we really haven't seen. I think we really need to be more human, if that's a term I could try to use, and use a very humanistic approach in the way we work. American work culture is very domineering. We have an expectation of excellence no matter what. And I think that there's not that much of human quality that goes with it. It's zeros and ones and data, and those are important, but there has to be a human approach to that. I think that all of this is bringing that to the forefront, and it should have been there, hasn't, but I think that this crisis has brought that to the forefront where we really need to address that, and just not just in our world in public relations and marketing and communications, but just in work culture overall. And I'm hoping that as we come out of this, that will be something that people can take away from it and move forward in a positive light in regards to that.
Holly?
And the importance of network. One of our colleagues, Dwight Harvey, just, sent in a message, and it is important, doing webinars like this, talking to your network, reaching out to your friends in the PR profession. We can kind of use this as a time to take a step back and look and review what are best practices as a whole as the profession moves forward and navigates through the situation. And I hope, that through Beepers, everyone listening and watching is able to feel comfort that you can reach out to us at any time if you have a question, or if you're feeling pressure, or if you need some guidance in how to continue to secure your clients and move forward.
One of the experiences that I had recently during a meeting, trying to make a decision on an event, it reminds me that we need to be better listeners, right? So even, and I'm going to back up to what I said before, you making the decision, still using that humanistic ability, listen. Everybody wants to feel heard right now. Listen to their concerns. If you can address it, that would be great. But at some point, just stop and be a listener and hear the fears, hear the concerns. And then when you go to make decisions or move forward with things, let them know that they were heard and this is why you're making the decision. So I think it also gives us an opportunity to be a little more clear, right? Communicate better and show them maybe sometimes inside of your communicating standards and how you move forward and how you can comfort them and still make a decision that you feel is best for your client, your brand, or the organization. So that humanistic piece I think is pretty important. You guys, I think we hit right on it. Want to share anything else before we close it up for today and let everyone know that we will have more of our BPRS-LA University coming to them. Ms. Holly, final thoughts?
Yeah, if you guys have questions, now's the time to reach out to the board. Some of us have a little bit more time than others, and this is what it's about, coming together as a community, and not just the Black public relations community, but as a whole, humanity. And so I really want you guys to reach out to us and use us as a resource when you need, okay?
Marissa?
Yeah, I have a few things, and I just want to make sure that everyone listening, you feel like you are learning actionable things to take away in your client work. So really just know that as you're guiding your clients, like, your first response won't be the last. Like, let them know that this is an evolving situation, things change moment to moment, but don't be afraid to say anything at all. Don't put your head in the sand. Like, that's not going to help you during this time, because society really does look to companies and CEOs and leaders to, like, during times of crisis. So making sure that you're saying something. You may not know everything, but you're saying something, you're showing that empathy, that humanistic quality that we've all been talking about. And I think that really also lends itself to talking to your employee, like, prioritize all of your stakeholders, but really as your client, like, your client should be talking to their employees first, in a really empathetic way, and really letting them know, you know, this is what's happening. This is what we do know now. This is what we plan to do, being very transparent in your process. Like, I know you've seen, you know, some companies are really showing, like, we're cleaning every day. We're doing X, Y, and Z. These are our visuals. Like, let people know this is what I'm doing to address your concern, and to address the situation. I think really easily, like, CEOs, everyone has been getting CEO letters in their email by now, right? Like, CEO videos too, I think help. Like, and even though we're social distancing, like, you could have your CEO or your leader, like, set up a, like, iPhone, and you can do a really, like, easy how to, like, shot iPhone video message to your consumers, and send it to someone who can edit it, of course, clean it up really nicely. But getting your CEO visually in front of people to talk about, like, what is going on, what's next, is super important to make your process your hero. Use your employee message as your everyone message, I would say. And then focus on the positive. Like, if there's something that you are doing, like, I know Amazon said they're hiring like 100,000 more people. I think Mark Cuban, I think, is reimbursing, like, lunch or something, like, what, even if it's on a small level, like, communicate something on a positive note. Even, like, there's a lot of negativity happening, but people really want to know, like, how your clients are showing up for the community, and for people who support them. And then, yeah, meet people where they are. Don't try to create a new channel to communicate with your consumers, right? Like, if people are getting all of their information on Instagram, put your information on Instagram. If people are getting on Facebook, put it on Facebook. Like, meet people where they are, and communicate consistently and communicate frequently, but be brief. Don't inundate people with very, like, crazy jargon that they can't understand or comprehend. Be very brief, be very clear, concise, and be very transparent and honest. I know that was a lot. I just want to make sure everyone kind of, like, has some basics to go back to your clients with, and show that you know what you're doing during times of crisis. So I'm here. We're all here. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. I'm obviously honored to be a part of this organization, and I'm really honored for us to be able to share our knowledge and information, not just during this specific situation that's going on with the coronavirus, but just in general. So I'm very honored to be here, very honored to be sharing this information between the four of us, as well as all the people who are watching. I guess a couple points I would want to take away is there's actually a recent article we posted on our site, and I can repost it and reshare it. It was from Entrepreneur Magazine that pretty much states, which is the title of it is, Why You Should Be Buying Facebook Ads Now. So a lot of individuals have been remarking and making comments and saying, how do I stay relevant? How do I keep my client or my brand relevant? My viewpoint is, and I can definitely reshare this article from Entrepreneur from Nick Wolney. And essentially it states that right now, as companies and entities are slowly kind of taking or pushing, like pulling out marketing dollars in regards to because of the coronavirus epidemic, it's now a time where kind of a supply and demand situation where now you can actually put in money back into Facebook, put back money into social media, frankly, because it's practical. Now everybody is pretty much home. Now everybody has to find some type of entertainment or something to watch or something to do. Now is a time where I would really tell your clients, and it may be a hard conversation to have because as we know, one of the first things that people like to try to take away or try to trim the fat off of is marketing dollars, is social media, is communications. They shouldn't, and I'm not just saying that for my own, personal view, but you need strong communications in the time of a crisis. You need strong communication regardless, no matter what. And so I think right now, one point I would like to take and let people know is really this is the time really to go full tilt into social media. And it's not really just a nice to have. It's not like a cherry on top. It's not something that's really nice and we have this and it's cool. Now is the time really to just really full-fledged dive deep, because now you have the individuals and the audience to promote it out. Everyone's home. This is the time to really dive deep and really utilize that. So I just think that really right now is that opportunity where we can really do that. And I honestly feel that communications as a whole is going to change because of this situation. The way we communicate with each other, the way we communicate as brands, with our clients and things of that nature, and with our audience, we have to be able to stay relevant no matter what. And the ones that are going to be transformative in their ways of communication are going to be the ones that rise to the top. The ones that don't, unfortunately, will not. We have to be smart about that. We have to be smart about the way we communicate and how we do so, and transformative in that regard. Otherwise, you will not make it. So that's just something that I have been telling some of my clients. Luckily, I'm blessed that I do have a few. Some have put a pause on it, but yeah, these are things that I'm definitely sharing with my clients and beyond. I'm sorry, go ahead, Holly. I'm sorry, I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, again, I can't stress this enough, be creative. If you have an idea and have not had the time to slow down and map it out and write it out, now is that time to do it. And companies are going to be looking for
Absolutely.
extreme, innovative thought leaders and people to execute ideas that they may not have ever thought about. And so I think right now, take that chance. If you have a script, write it down. If you have a TV idea, write it down. If you have a business plan, write it down. If you have a campaign that you wanted to execute for, say, a product, a tea product or a cannabis product or a clothing line, write it down and pitch it. Always get an NDA, but this is the time to really put yourself out there, because everyone, to my panel's point, is sitting at home working, but we're not as engaged with the work as we could be. So we're looking for things to keep us more engaged and to reestablish these connections and why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And I wanted to add, close to what Holly was saying, is step into your leadership role. Don't be afraid of, being seen as someone that's trying to be too bossy or force themselves. You've already been put in this situation. They came to you for your leadership skills, for your communication skills. So now is the time for you to really open that door of opportunity and show them why you were hired in the first place. Communicate well with your boss, with your constituents, with your customers, with your community, and remind them why you were put in this position in the first place. Your ability to communicate and convey ideas that are important to continuing to grow the brand and the business are important. So being silent about that because you're afraid of what could possibly happen, well, those things might happen anyways, but you have to get those ideas out there and show your leadership in a timely fashion, because now is the time, right? You don't know what kind of decisions they're making behind your back, but if you don't show your creativity, your leadership, your ability to help carry the organization forward, you're never going to know if it was you or someone else. So for those that are kind of in fear about what could happen, or they just want to be quiet and let things happen, now's not the time for that, right? Now's the time to show your leadership, to really communicate what's going on, how to do things correctly, how to keep customers engaged, how to keep community members engaged and constituents, and make sure that they understand why they hired you in the first place.
Yeah, if you're at an agency too, or if you're in-house somewhere, just to Tonya and everyone's point, like raise your hand. Like if you feel like, you know, this may not be an account that you work on normally, like you might have some extra time, you still might have an idea, like raise your hand, see where you can help out. Because really it's all about right now coming together. Everyone has the same sort of concerns, but to everyone's point, like don't feel like this isn't something that you can't get through. We can all get through this, and we all can help each other. And every idea is welcomed, because these are sort of like an unprecedented time right now, to be quite honest, but it's possible to navigate. We have the tools necessary and we can all do it. And then I also wanted to, if anyone watching or if anyone who's a member or thinking about being a member, like is really passionate about experiential, that part of PR and comms, like just know that this is sort of like a little bit of a test right now, but I still think experiential will still be important. Just think about what you can do Q3, Q4 and beyond, and how you might be able to make your strategies, as they should have already been, an extension on digital as well, so that you're not so relegated to just the on-site moment. Like how are we making sure that we're having these really cool, shareable, Instagrammable, shoppable on-site events, but we're also making sure that we're engaging digital audiences. So I don't want people to fear not being able to have events ever again. We'll have events again. But I think this is a wake-up call to know how to, or to remember that we need to make sure that our experiential strategy is 360 completely. So that's what I wanted to add.
Very good.
I just want to say one quick thing. I want to give a shout out to someone who wrote a comment, Terry Allen. Give him some love real quick. I love this quote: "Social distance does not mean social disengagement." I love it. That literally should be the motto that all of us practice, that all of us utilize, and have that type of thinking in this crisis and beyond. Social distance does not mean social disengagement. Have to lean in further. And, you know, to Holly and Marissa and Tonya, honestly, you know, being PR experts in our field, companies and brands should be leaning heavily on us to get them through this and beyond. And this is really the time for that to happen. So yeah.
Thank you. So I hope you guys are listening, and definitely lean in to us, because that's what we're here for. Make sure you're following our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our Twitter, and go onto the website sometimes and see what's new there, right? We're going to have so many cool things going on. This may have set us back, but it definitely has not stopped us in our tracks. And we have so many more cool things going on for 2020. So stay engaged, lean in. Thank you guys for being here today. And we definitely look forward to being in contact and working with you guys on some other cool things throughout the year. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.